know it's going to be a great time. One more time, you are all welcome. Let me quickly allow Dr. Sam to introduce himself. Let me let me not do the introduction for him. Yes, Dr. Sam, you want to tell us more about yourself?
Yes, thank you very much for having me today. I'm very happy to be part of this. By the way, Brother George, I have to commend your effort for putting this together. This is the kind of conversation we need. This is what we need in our country. Uh, and you are doing amazingly well. I've known you for a while now, and you're one of my mentors. Thank you once again for inviting me to this conversation. My name is Sam Jolayemi. I'm a senior lecturer at the Department of Food Science and Technology, Federal University of Technology, Akure. My area of specialization is basically food chemistry. What I love doing is teaching from childhood. There is nothing else I know much how to do. Having a good conversation, talking to students, and educating students is what my area of specialization is. I teach science. I believe in the scientific frontiers and things that will define the society, and as well as things that we can do that will make our lives better, such as, you know, being a good person, trying to be more determined, and then moving forward with your life. If you are in marriage, the principle that can guide you to succeed in marriage, because one of the greatest failure of society is marriage. Like once the family is broken, everything is broken. So we'll be having a lot of discussion today, and I know it's going to benefit one or two people, if not all of us. Thank you.
Okay. I didn't know that he's a senior lecturer. So wow. But I do know, one thing most people don't know is Dr. Sam is an interesting character in terms of academics. While we were in Turkey, most of you don't know, we were in Turkey for a couple of years together while he was doing his PhD. And every time you see him, he had a paper and a pen with him to write, to take notes, even in the train, even in the bus, everywhere. Dr. Sam had a piece of paper with him to write, to take notes, and all of those things. It was just that time was, and I remember a couple of times I would say, Dr. Sam, why don't you shave your hair? He was like, I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time. I have to read my book. And now that's how determined, that's how determined the person is. That's how committed he is to academics and everything. So it's really nice to have you in the conversation one more time today. So thank you so
Thank you
much
so much.
for joining, Dr. Sam.
Thank you, sir.
So
Yes.
let's quickly start. I know that you have done well with yourself. You're successful in several areas of your life. I see your family. By the way, how's the family doing?
Yeah, family is doing well. We thank God. During my PhD, I had no kid. I was barely married. So now we thank God we are a family of four. I have two sons and
Oh,
happily married. Thank you.
oh, that's good. How's your beautiful wife? I hope it's okay for me to say your wife is beautiful.
Yes, thank you so much. She's a sister to the God, and we thank God for our lives, how
Mm,
supportive she is. Yeah, we
cool.
bless God.
That's good. That's good. That's good. So let's start with the time I knew you here. In terms of academics, you were driven to be academically sound and do your best. What were those principles that guided your lives in terms of academics, in terms of being success? Because I believe we can achieve success in different areas of our lives, part time
Yes.
and per season. Part time and per season. By the time that you were here, your major focus was to be academically successful. What were the principles that you can say helped you through that period?
Actually, the principle didn't start in Turkey. It started way back when I was in Nigeria. And it started right from childhood. I was not physically strong growing up. What I mean is, my father was a farmer, so there was no way you could be weak because all we knew was to go to farm and do farm work. But I just observed that I didn't cut up for that because of my physical strength. And I was sickly too. So combined with my inability to do farm work and being sickly, so I visit hospital very often. I was the troublemaker supposedly to my mom. So later on, when I got hold of myself and God took control, I was healed, and the only thing I could leverage on was my ability to perform well in school. The only
Mm,
time people get to celebrate me is at the end of the term. Yeah, prior to that time, on daily basis, a lot of people flaunt their ability to work, to do farm work, to even make money outside school or work. None of those things really went down with me. So the hard work aspect in the area of academic started from there. I knew my only way out was to be brilliant. A lot of people thought I was born, super brilliant. The only difference is just that I know how to do my work without you knowing. So it appears to you like a kind of mystery that how can this guy do well in some of these things? And so that was the starting point. Gradually, by the time I'm in secondary school, it was obvious that this guy wouldn't be able to do any other thing
mm.
except go to school. And I've
I lost your voice. I think I lost Dr. Sam there. I can hear him now. I'm sure he's trying to reconnect. But something he has said thus far was that he had some form of disadvantage, which means he was not a very physically strong person. Yeah, Dr. Sam, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Sorry for that.
Okay.
I'm talking from Nigeria.
Okay.
So,
Now, you did mention something that you were not physically strong.
yes,
You were not bodily, that sort of person that everybody
yeah,
will say he can do the work and all of those things. But you did
yeah,
not let that be a disadvantage to you. You leverage
absolutely.
on your mental capacity and
Right.
and 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 beat the drop line in the sense that
Yes.
you didn't let those limitations hold you down. And then you
So,
also mentioned that it's not as if you were born super brilliant. You
yeah, no,
how did I see people who always, it's like a conversation of saying, are leaders born or leaders made? What you're saying is that you made yourself this brilliant. You weren't born
yes,
brilliant, but you studied
no,
and became. How do people
yeah.
do that?
Actually, if you realize that you are not naturally gifted, a lot of people are talented. They don't need to struggle to do what they do. But even from our ability to speak, none of those things came naturally. To some, they
Mhm,
had it better. To some, they
mhm,
have to develop it. Every part of my trait, my character, things that I do, I had to be consciously develop them. So
mhm.
I was very shy growing up. I developed the ability to speak before crowd up to the point that I knew that
Oh, come on. We having those internet issues again. So, but consistently, Dr. Sam is trying to re-emphasize and say to us that even if you're not born super brilliant, you can develop yourself. You can walk yourself up the ladder and be brilliant. Like you said, some persons don't need to put too much effort into it, but some persons have got to put much effort into it. So what you're trying to say,
yes,
sir, is that you really put a lot of effort into being who you are.
yes, yeah, exactly, exactly. I used to tell some undergraduate students, if you read something more than 7 times, it sticks. Even while sleeping, you'll be dreaming about it. But how many
Hmm.
people will go through the audience of doing it? At a point, I found myself being taught in the dream. Sorry for being, it's not supernatural. It's just
Hmm.
what you consistently do. So
Hmm.
if I found a problem that is so difficult to solve, by going over and over it again, thinking about it while you are doing something else, it
Mm-hmm.
will come to a time where the revelation will be shown to you. The way
Mm-hmm.
out of that problem will be shown to you. So it's kind of very possible. It's possible for anybody to do anything if they put their mind to it. All
Hmm.
right. So I came out the best in my faculty. A lot of people thought it was maybe it's a supernatural person. Even the people we live in the same house together. But I knew what I did.
Hmm.
There is no subject I would not pick up. I would pick like 10 times, the minimum of 10 times going
Hmm.
over it before going to that examination. And the same thing applies to any life principle that I want to espouse. You
Hmm.
practice, you fail, you have to go over it again. But if you allow the first failure to limit you, that will be the end. You won't further. You'll be looking for another thing. There is
Hmm.
no small success. That's another thing I know. A lot of people compare success to each other. The success that brings a lot of financial freedom, a lot of people consider that as more important than success that just edifies you or make you feel better about
Hmm.
yourself. Success cannot be weighed or measured like that.
Hmm.
If you set out in the morning to clean your house, just setting out to clean your house, that I want this place to be tidy for 24 hours,
Hmm.
that's a task. If you are able to achieve it at the end of the day, that's a success already.
Hmm.
To show you how success can be small, but it's usually overlooked. If your marriage is in shambles and eventually you work on it, by not passing blame, by not trying to feel like, okay, I'm not the one to be blamed,
Hmm.
the other person is. But if you can take responsibility,
Hmm.
that is the beginning of being successful. Taking responsibility, seeking for the best way, no matter how difficult it is. Not the shortcut just because it's easy. The shortcut never lasts. There is nothing that is so short and quick that you can say it lasts for a very long time. It is what you put a lot of energy into, rigor into. Of course, it might appear to other people that this guy is not putting a lot. You know that you are really putting a lot.
Hmm.
Read a very good book. Consider that book good. Just the reason why you consider it good is because the author has put a lot of effort into it. But the
Hmm.
author appears as though the book comes to him just overnight. That is
Hmm.
how successful people behave. They
Hmm.
behave as if what happened to them is so, spontaneous that, well, they might be lucky or they are superhuman. Nobody is superhuman. Even the genius, they
Hmm.
have to work on that ingenuity for it to be established. So success can be obtained by any possible in any field. I mean, just by hard work and knowing what you want.
Hmm.
So those are the big things that helped me growing up. I know what I wanted to be, and I put a lot of work to it.
Hmm.
Of course,
You
there
know,
are challenges on the way.
you are making a lot of point, and I just keep writing and writing. I hope someone is, I hope people are picking up a lot here, because you've talked about dealing with first failures. That the first failures are sometimes people try once and they give up because of that initial first failure. But you're trying to say that people can break through first failures and all of those things. I do believe that, there is nothing on earth that succeeded at the first attempt. Everyone
No,
who has
anything
succeeded
of
in
what?
everyone who has succeeded in running a business, building a career, understood that the chances of the first business failing are very high. But then, if you give up at the first attempt, it's everything is gone. But you can
Yes,
build upon the failures of the first. I mean, you can build upon the failures of the first idea that you run with. So that's
yes,
something really interesting. Then you also mentioned that there is nothing like small success. I wish people will understand that, actually, that every bit of success is important. It's the small drops of success that get us to the big levels of success.
yes,
And then you also mentioned taking responsibility, and then no
yes,
one is superhuman. Then it strikes me when you say that if you read something 7 times, it becomes part of your system.
yes.
It's like you say, if you do the same thing over and over, it becomes part of your system.
It becomes part of you. Why do people develop interest? They call it developed interest. There is a
Hmm,
developmental stage,
hmm,
right? Okay, I read biochemistry and plant physiology, stuff like that. We
hmm,
know there is a time to plant, and
hmm,
then every condition, both atmospheric and physical, has to favor that plant, that seed in the ground for it to grow.
hmm,
And when it grows, there must be nurturing period. You have to weed around it, remove the herbicide, remove things that can disturb it.
hmm,
Those removal are you pruning yourself. You have
hmm,
something you want to do, and there are so many entanglements preventing you from doing that. It could be yourself. Most of the time, is ourselves. A lot of people tend to blame society,
hmm,
others, and all that. Yeah, those things they have effect, but the primary effect is actually you. If you are determined enough, there is no societal hurdle that can prevent you from succeeding. They might slow you down or they may not allow you to maximize, but you will achieve that goal no matter what. So why? Because you are.
Now, if I understand, we're still going to, I'm sure Dr. Sam is still trying to get back to us. No societal hurdle can stop you if you're committed enough to pursuing your goal. Let that sink down into somebody this morning. No societal hurdle. There will be hurdles in the society. There will be systems set in
Created
place
time
to
to
stop you.
develop that, then it becomes a character.
Hmm. Come on, come on. I'm having so much. I'm enjoying the conversation so much. Now, before we lost you in the connection, you mentioned something about no societal hurdle can stop anybody if they are
No.
committed enough to what they are pursuing. You know,
Yes.
this it's like it's like we've been having conversation for so long because consistently I say this to people. I said, wherever you are, see, if you want it enough, if you're persistent enough, if you're committed enough, all of the systems and structures of earth connive together to deliver it to you. If you're consistent, persistent, and you want it enough, all of the systems of life connive together to give it to you.
Absolutely.
So it's just it's it's very interesting when when you say that no societal hurdle can stop anybody except the societal hurdles that we allow them to limit us in our minds and our abilities to
Mhm.
be consistent in whatever we are chasing.
Yes.
Uh,
So those are
uh,
the
yeah, go on, sir.
things that actually help me, knowing that even when there are things that could stop you potentially, you don't allow them to do. All right. A young person who wants to succeed, if you're a young lady, there are so many things that other people are doing that grant them some immediate reward. So
Hmm.
those immediate reward can deter you from your goal because they
Hmm.
are so immediate and quick. But if
Hmm.
you are the type that you are aiming at it, as let me put it this way, the bigger your goal, the bigger should be your focus.
Hmm.
There are small things you can do, and by the time they accumulate over a long period of time, they will have succeeded in wasting your time. As a young lady, you pay attention to little things like having this very quickly, buying this type of phone, buying this type of this and that, compared to you sitting down and realize that you could achieve all of that as a byproduct of the grand success you aim at. There is a grand success that you
Hmm.
want to achieve. And there are little success along the way that people consider as important. But those ones, you may not be able to achieve them because you are not paying attention to them. By the
Hmm.
time you achieve the grand success, everything they have achieved over a long period of time will just be a byproduct of your grand success.
Hmm.
My very first paper, let me give you this as an example. The first paper I wrote.
Come on, come on. Dr. Sam was still speaking about grand success, that there's something called grand success, and that most of the things people focus on, the little things people focus on, can be
Hear
achieved
me?
by byproduct of the grand success. Yes, we can hear you. Thank you so much. We're back. We can hear you now.
Wow.
We can hear you. We can hear you. Go ahead. Hello?
Yeah, sorry for the network. Sorry.
We can hear you. We can hear you. No problem.
So sorry for that. So I said your grand success should actually be your drive, not
Hmm.
the byproduct. A lot of people
Hmm.
are chasing after the byproduct, which is something that are just probably that will eventually be added. They are chasing after ephemera. They call it, things that are short-lived. Your
Hmm.
drive should be something that is everlasting, something that will last a lifetime. Developing a career is an everlasting thing, except you want to change that career. Building a marriage is an everlasting thing.
Hmm.
So your goal should be investing in those everlasting success rather than immediate, small rewards here and there that will waste your time and eventually will not give you what you want. So
Hmm.
Those are the things that helped me growing up. And ever since, I've not deviated from it. And another thing that I observe is I'm self-motivated. I
Hmm.
need not to be, everybody needs advice. We all need mentor. I have mentor in all areas of life, but I
Hmm.
pick them strategically. But ultimately, I'm self-motivating person.
Hmm.
I can evaluate when I'm not doing well. I can evaluate when I'm living below my expectation as a person.
Hmm.
When I take inventory of myself on daily basis, I can
Hmm.
say the year 2023 I underperformed. Say, you understand? I can tell myself that, hey, last week you underperformed. You didn't do well. This is
Hmm.
not, you could have done better. So that also serves as a fuel for me to move forward and do better. So you
Hmm.
have to be self-motivating as a person.
You,
Don't, if you need, okay, I'm listening to you, sir.
no, no, I was going to say something. You said you're a self-motivated person. How do
Yes.
you say to people who are not self-motivated? Because you see, there are a few people who are as self-motivated as you are. Not it's not something for the general public. There are few
Yeah.
individuals who are
Absolutely.
self-motivated, but the large populace that of people who are not self-motivated. How can
Hmm.
someone who is not self-motivated, someone who is someone who is always procrastinating, someone who is always postponing the things that they've got to do. For example, someone who always gets to work late, someone who always, someone who leaves it for the latter.
Hmm.
How can they jump out of that? How can they plug themselves into motivation?
Practice.
Hmm.
Practice. If you practice something over and over again, you get perfect at it. Now,
Hmm.
before you start uh, developing a character or an habit, you need to realize how important that habit is to
Hmm.
you, to your life goals. If you realize that this particular habit is going to help you a lot, or that is all that it needs for you to succeed, then the onus is on you to build that habit to the point that it becomes part of you.
Hmm.
Now, is it everybody that can move out of that shell and go into that place where they become unstoppable in terms of self-motivating? Yes, provided that they are ready to take the first step. It is the first step. If you
Hmm.
take the first step and you succeed, celebrate the small win you are. We gave an
Hmm.
example of, there's one of these, my all-time great teacher, Jordan Peterson. He will start talking to young people by simply saying, hey, stand up straight with your back straight. It's just more or less an injunction given to young people that get off of your couch and do something.
Hmm.
Sometimes he said things like, just clean up your room. Start by cleaning up your house. Start by saying, okay, I want to set a goal or daily goal saying, I will send this email at this also time. What does it take to send email? Less than a minute or two. If you are able to do that, you now check. Then you are checking those boxes every day that I've been able to do this first goal, second one, third one, and on like that. If you do that for a day and you record success, take it further to 2 days. Soon you'll be able to do it for a week. Very soon it becomes a monthly thing. Very soon it will now be alien on your part not to do it. That is when you have gotten to the point of addiction.
Hmm.
Addiction not to bad thing, to success. Imagine people who are smokers, who smoke, who cannot give up on smoking. If the same energy of smoking is translated into other things, they will not be able to give up on it too.
Hmm.
Success is built that way. Good habit is built that way too. It
Hmm.
becomes an addiction. I can't go through a day without reading. Did I build it yesterday? No. Whether I have it on my cell phone, or my computer, or a hard book, what is it called, hard copy somewhere, I must read something. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in my field
Hmm.
every day. So because of that, it has become part of me. Developing an habit to a point where it becomes an addiction. It
Hmm.
is the gateway of being self-motivated.
Hmm.
Like you
So
just wake up, you didn't do enough.
let me quickly get you right. You're trying to
Yeah.
say that success can be addictive,
Yes.
so as taking steps towards success can also be addictive.
I
So
think
you're trying to say that regardless of what anybody is pursuing, you got to pursue it enough to the point it becomes addictive.
exactly.
If it's not addictive, then you don't want it enough.
You don't
If,
want it enough.
if it's not addictive to the point where it wakes you up and keeps you awake, it's not, you don't want it enough.
You don't
you,
want
you
it enough.
you spoke about comparing this with addiction towards cigarettes. I noticed that I have a couple of
Yes.
friends who every 1 hour, sometimes you have meetings, we're having meetings, and within 1 hour, if these persons don't go out to smoke, it's like something is dying inside of them. So you're saying that my desire, everybody's desire for success, should be as addictive as that. That
Absolutely.
within
That's
one
it.
hour, if you haven't done something to drive you towards the change you are looking for, towards the success you're looking for, your system should be pricked. Your system should prick you and say, "Oh, there's something wrong. You've got to do something in this line."
Yes.
Wow, wow,
That's
that's
the secret.
it's really good to know that we can say that success can be addictive. It's a good
It can be
addiction.
addictive.
So
Yes.
people, when people hears addiction or someone is an addict, it's always something negative. So you're
Negative.
saying it's good to say certain things can be addictive, goodly
Yes.
addictive. Certain
Yes.
addictions are good. Amazing. Anyway, let me ask, all the time that you have been rising and pursuing things, you must have faced human challenges.
Yes.
You must have faced human challenges. How do you deal with human challenges? People putting roadblocks before you, people, just coming up against you for nothing, people standing against you like walls. How do you deal with hatred of people who are vehemently decided to stop you in what you want to achieve?
Those obstacles, without them, you wouldn't know. Your ride will be too smooth, and you
Hmm.
wouldn't even know the meaning of what you are getting at the end
Hmm.
of the day when you actually get it. Let's take, for instance, uh, two teams, football teams are playing, and there is no opposite. Like normally, they are supposed to oppose each other, such that when one succeed and they win, it becomes something worth celebrating. Imagine you have a single team and the goalpost is empty and they are just running into the goalpost to score. Who is going to consider that a football match? No one.
Hmm.
No one will consider that a football match. That is the same thing with human challenges when you are pursuing success. Human challenges are the things that actually make the success success. Any other challenge, it could be you, it could be self, challenges. It could be you battling with yourself mentally, you're battling with yourself emotionally, you are not even sure of yourself, self-doubt, and so many things like that. They are to actually make that success, that he has to make it so wonderful, so beautiful, and valuable. The more the challenges are, the more valuable you consider that success.
Hmm.
A success looks so good to you, it's something you cannot part away with. It could be
Hmm.
like it could be your certificate. I'm not saying you should be addicted to a paperwork and all that. And somebody is talking down on it, like you feel so bad. It could even drive you to tears because you know the amount of work you have invested into. The value of that thing is not in the paper, it's not in the
Mhm.
material. It
Hmm.
is the amount of work you are invested into. So when you are faced with challenges, human or otherwise, make sure the goal is bigger than the challenge.
Hmm.
The strength of that goal is bigger than that challenges. One must outweigh the other. Now, Martin Luther King said, it is love that can conquer hate. Why? Because God is love. Love is bigger than whatever hate. There is no hate in God. And God is bigger than anything that can espouse hate. So, your success will be bigger than the opposition.
Hmm.
If it is bigger, then you work more harder. You work more harder, and it builds you to face.
Come on. Dr. Sam will be back with us one more time. But before he comes back, he was saying that the challenge, the focus on the goal
Sorry about
must
that.
be bigger than the
Can
challenges
you
that
hear
come
me?
your way. Yes, we can hear you. Thank you. You're back. Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead. Okay, wait. Just hold on, everybody.
For that,
Yes. Okay, we can hear you now.
all right. So you must allow the dream to be stronger and bigger than the challenges you might be facing.
Hmm.
Because if
The dream must be stronger, bigger than the challenges you are facing. Obstacles enhance the value of the success and the value of the victory. Obstacles enhance the value of the success. Obstacles enhance the value of the victories. Obstacles
they are
enhance.
weaker, it's going to overcome you.
Come on.
Sorry
Yes.
about the network.
We can hear you. No problem. We can hear you. We can hear you. So basically, you were saying that obstacles enhance the value of whatever victory that's coming our way. Obstacles and challenges enhance the value of whatever we are
Can you hear
pursuing.
me properly?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you. We can hear you clearly.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So you were
You are
saying that
not audible enough. Maybe you can check.
it's audible enough. We can hear you. We can hear you. Once you.
I said you're not audible enough. I can't hear you properly. I
Oh,
know it's my network. I'm very sure of that.
I think I can hear you properly, and I
All
think
right.
everybody can still hear
So
me.
so every individual must be determined to make sure that the dream they conceive is bigger than the challenges they might be facing. It's
Okay.
easier said than done. It is not just one size fits all, but you have to know that you will not succeed if you allow challenges to overcome that dream. You must be driven enough to get up anytime you are knocked down. Boxing is one of my favorite sports. A lot of people,
I
you
know.
might say, isn't that opposite of what you said you love? Like, you are not even physically strong. The reason why I love boxing is two things. There are two reasons. Number one reason is it is not a teamwork, even though the teamwork is done outside the ring. But in the ring, there is no teamwork. So you go there as a single individual, waging war against another individual for that trophy.
Hmm.
Two, if you are knocked down, only when you stay down that you lost.
Yeah, you lose when you stay down.
If you
It's
knock
only
down
when
and
you
you
stay down that
still
you lose.
gather enough strength to keep standing up, you might not lose. I have seen cases of boxer being knocked down 5 times and he get up again and he fought back, eventually won. Another person that I listened to, apart from the guy that I mentioned the other time, is David Goggins. David Goggins said, if somebody is beating you in a contest and is beating you hard enough, knowing that, come on, I've never beaten anybody like this, and the person is still on his feet, he will begin to doubt himself, even though it's the one beating you. So, like, what? So, does that mean this guy is not scared of my strength? Is he not feeling the pain and all that? You have to be that determined.
So what you're saying is, no matter how much life beats you, no matter how much the system beats you, if you're consistent and persistent enough, the system itself begins to doubt itself. The system itself begins to say, come, I've beaten everybody around. I've beaten everybody's giving up when they get to this stage. But this guy has refused to give up. So the system
Yeah.
begins to doubt itself. But that's quite interesting. Anyway, let's go into something I know you're very much interested in talking about as we begin to get to the close of the day. You were interested in talking about principles of marriage and principles of relationship. Can,
Pastor, sir, I'm not hearing you properly.
can you hear me?
Faintly.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you if I listen more carefully.
Oh, and now can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but not as
Oh,
much as before.
oh, I think it must be your internet or something. But
Yeah, it's my internet.
I was going to ask about, you talked about principles of marriage and how interesting it is for you. As a man, what do you think women want? What do you think
Hmm.
women really want from a man? Yes, the last week I had conversation with women, some young women, and we asked this, what do you think women really want from a man?
Okay. The question is, as a married man, what do I think women want?
Yeah, you've been married for some years. What do you think women really want?
Okay. We have in marriage, for those, I'm talking about the normal binary gender marriage.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. In we are two genders that are biologically different. And as
Mm-hmm.
much as we are biologically different, many of the way we see marriage and that union is a little bit different too. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
let me put it this way. I will be the worst mother my kids can ever have.
Hmm.
And my wife will be the worst father that my children will ever have. So number
Hmm.
one, even though I'm not espousing comprehensive street gender role, but there are roles for individual in marriage. So what
Hmm.
a woman wants is a man who can be the father. Anybody can have, anybody can be a dad. I mean, anybody can be a father. Anybody can. What I mean by father in its real sense, biologically, you're capable of impregnating a woman. That doesn't qualify you as a father. And another thing that I observe that women want is a woman is coming into your life not just as a helper, but as a partner. Even
Hmm.
though the original is like help, somebody who is going to help. The helper give the connotation that you are the only one driving, you only need an assistant.
Hmm.
No, a woman wants to be a partner, and a partner wants to be listened to.
Hmm.
If we go by the street gender role, traditional marriage, where the man says something and the woman needs to just accept or give minimal opposition to it, that may not likely, that's not going to work all the time. But a woman also needs to be listened to. That is what a man should actually realize. While you
Hmm.
are taking the leadership role, you need to explore the potential that God has given to you in the place of a woman. It is a valuable gift for you, and that woman needs to play her role fully. If you don't allow her to play her role, there will be problem. The role of also saying something and be listened to. And sometimes what she says is acted upon. Another thing
Hmm.
that I've noted over the course of 10 years that I've been married is that you need to actually if not completely, forget about what you love doing or how you talk to yourself, how you react to situation, how you take things while you were single. Those days are past. If you are a quick temper person, that needs to be out of the window. If
Hmm.
you want to keep as much friend as possible the way you used to do it, that needs to go. It
Hmm.
cannot work in today's marriage. When you see a peaceful marriage, sir, it's because the man has been quiet enough.
Hmm.
Let me put it simply like that. He's been quiet enough to take so many things and also remove his ego enough to the point that it's so small. The ego is so small that he only requires the one that would lead, that will allow him to take that leadership role enough. Not just the one that says, okay, the way I want it, that's the way it's going to be. You can't talk to me in that way. You can't do that. You can't do that. It is not an authoritarian thing anymore. A lot of people believe a man needs to take leadership, take authority over his family. There are places where authority will not work. The marriage is doing well because the man has been dumb enough, in quote. It is not just dumb, not being able to walk, or no. It's just being dumb that he looks at things and is able to take his eye off it, or he looks at what is wrong and be able to correct it. If you decide to talk about everything that is wrong all the time, there will be problem. Because the woman understands the role that she has in the family. And the title of the wife is a big enough title for a woman to see you as her mate. You are the same now. After all, you are one flesh. So don't tell her that you are older than her. You are no longer older. Don't tell her I'm old enough to be anything whatsoever. If you are 50 and she's 20, you are equal. Now, understanding that is the beginning of peace. I'm talking about peace at home, because marriages that work that we envy is because there is peace there. Not because there is no issue, there is peace. And the peace comes from the man most of the time. When a man is aggressive, he's known outside. When a woman is aggressive, he's not known that much. When a man beats his wife, he's well known outside. When a woman is aggressive towards her husband, nobody will listen to the man. How can you say a woman is aggressive towards you? Can she beat you? No. Come on, don't be a weakling. When a woman cries, it's celebrated. When a man cries, it's a sign of weakness. So that is why I'm saying you have to bury ego completely, and also know that you are not an authority, so to say. You are part of a project, and the project is peace at home, moving your family forward, children going to school, children seeing you as a father, and at the end of the day, everybody is happy. There is no one size fits all principle, but the one that have helped me is removing the ego completely. I'm 10 years older than my wife, but you don't talk to her as though she's 10 years younger. You talk to her as though she's a respectful, somebody who can think the same level with you. Let her be the one to say that she's not thinking the same level with you, not you saying that. Show her that you are better as somebody who knows how to handle things. Show her that in that decision making, that superior argument you present is the one that will take the lead, not you enforcing that argument, even though it's not superior. Those are the principles that have helped me. We open the door of discussion, and then we talk about it. Once the superior argument, it will be obvious to both of us that this is the route we are taking, not you coming up with it and just want her to follow suit. She'll be waiting for the failure. And when you failed in that plan, I said so. I said it. You didn't listen to me. So those are the things. The peace at home lies more on the man, because he's the one that is born naturally with ego. He's the one that is born naturally with masculinity that could sometimes be aggressive and uncontented. Those are the traits of masculinity. I am not saying we should demasculate our men. No, complete espousing of masculinity cannot work. There are places where you have to be the one to listen. There are situations where you are wrong and you are ready to admit it. The fact that you pay 90% of the expenses at home doesn't guarantee that she will not be listened to too. A woman you sleep with as your wife, she also has authority. It's not just simply because she's a wife, a second citizen. No, she's also an authority at home. So knowing this, we allow peace to reign, and eventually the woman will realize how priceless you are. And by the way, let me say this also. You are doing all this not because you want to be loved back. Note, People that enjoy unconditional love are women and children. Men, your love is conditional. You can only be loved when you bring something to the table. And what you are bringing to the table is what I've just said. You need to know when to be calm. You need to listen to the woman. You are not the only one, only authority in the family. She's not just an helpmate. She's a partner. When you approach things like that, there will be peace. And partnership means respect. You need to respect your woman. And most of the time, she wants to have you in certain places. She wants to have you saying certain things, be a certain way, dress certain way. I am not saying you should subscribe to all of them, but there must be compromise. If your wife doesn't like your hairstyle, go and cut it. It's not going to do you any bad. If he doesn't like the way you dress, you might want to make adjustment. But is there a woman that dictates everything a man does? No. Men say that outside, that this woman want me to do everything she says. That's not what it means. She wants you to do something that is so important to her. If you can do those things, then there will be peace at home.
Okay.
It does, and maybe you'll be guarantees of love, but I'm very sure there will be peace at home. So that's just my principle. It works well. It takes a lot of practice, like I said. I have practiced. You know me, my brother, when I was in Turkey, I'm not really I don't appear as though somebody who can be easily controlled by women. And I have eyes for beautiful women as well. In fact, to be monogamous, you might think it might take a prayer on my behalf that this guy will need to be prayed for to stay monogamous. And so far, I've been able to do that. The reason being what I've just said. If peace is what you want at home, come on, do the needful and let the woman have some say. Let her have some authority as well. She's not your helper alone. She's a partner. And if you do this, you will enjoy the maximum offer from that woman.
Okay.
Let me give you an example in my family. My paycheck and everything I earn per month, my wife is privy to them. Now, most men, they said they have some retirement savings that the woman must not know. My wife knows everything. She knows what I earn, how much that comes in. Even if there is an additional pay, I tell her. And I decide to tell her everything that I face on a daily basis. The people I met, the person that is showing interest, a woman that looks suspicious, a man that doesn't like me, everything. Such that when there's a problem, she will not say, I didn't know. So she knows my pay, how much I'm earning. So she will decide what the expenses per month will be. If I'm earning 200,000, you decide to give me a bill of 250. Maybe you are the one that will provide the 50,000. But if she doesn't know, she will assume you earn more. And then the expenses will be more. And can see Africa today, our men are suffering. I said something when you said your podcast will be about women, Women's Day, right? And I said I lost track of the number of days that are devoted to female folks, to the female gender.
That was last week.
There are too many days. Now, for men, how many days? Maybe 1 or 2 maximum. And how many people actually remember? None. In fact, me, I did not even remember the Father's Day. Only my wife reminded me and sent, posted my picture and all that. And my Mother's Day, I remember my mom, my aunt, my sister, my everybody.
People clapping for you on Instagram.
I hardly celebrate my father, so to say, because the picture I have of him is somebody who is not there. Don't let your children abandon you. And they will abandon you based on the way you treat their mother. Even though your intention might be good, but it will not come off to them as good. They will treat you badly when you are old. When the mother is going for omugo everywhere, you are at home. When the children wants to give you money, they go in to the closet to give their mother the one they want to give her. And you can be very sure she earned like 10 times more than you. So African men must wake up. I can see the difference now. They are waking up. You wake up in the morning at 7:30, you see men putting their children, on their, or even some will put them on their neck, holding their bag, their lunch bag, all the way to school. It is no longer, in fact, in my children's school, more than 70% of the people that come to drop their kid in the morning are men. We are
So,
changing, my pastor.
so
Because we realize the children
if I
will not
understand
know.
it,
Whether you
if
are
I
the
understand,
one bringing in the money, they will not know. You are
hold
out
on.
there working 24 hours, bringing in something, but the children will not know that that is what you are doing out there, except the mother told them. Please, don't be an outside father, being in the life of your children. And the way to do it, treat your wife well. Treat her like a queen. So that's it. That's
Anyway,
the one I've been doing. So that's why I'm very passionate about it. I couldn't stop.
anyway, let me recount a little bit. I think I
Yeah.
see one of my our former guests that joined us, Mrs. Bahar. Thank you for joining us today. It's a very wonderful manager. Um, um, we had a conversation with her a couple of weeks ago, and I really would like to have her one more time on the conversation. But she was really very inspiring. But just like you said the love that are for men are usually conditional. So a man
Yes.
must bring something to the table if they are going to be loved genuinely. And you said the love that goes to women and children are unconditional. So a
Yes.
woman doesn't have to do much to be loved. Children don't have to do much to be loved, but men must bring something to the table if they are going to be loved. Wow, that is just wow. I'm going to be having a conversation with Lashon Gray next week, Lashon Gray from the Bahamas. And I'm definitely going to ask her this same question. I'm going to hear her opinion on what you have just said. But before we close, I want to ask you about Nigerian politics. I want to talk about Nigerian politics. What do you think that Nigeria as a country needs to do for things to turn around for good? Everybody wants something. I'm a proud Nigerian, proud African, and I'm happy to contribute my quota if ever called upon to do that. So, what do you think that Nigeria must do for things to turn around for good?
Now, Nigeria as a country, we need to take the word of, I'm sorry, I'm not espousing, I'm not trying to uh, like use the idea of someone or because I love the person. No, I don't have a politician that I know personally. I don't know anyone personally. But Professor Simbanjo said something. He said, once there is no consequence
Hmm.
for misbehavior, then there can be solution to Nigeria problem.
Hmm.
We all know that we do things with impunity. You know, anything can happen in Nigeria and people will get away with it. There is no consequence for our actions.
Hmm.
At individual level, at governmental organizational level, at different ministries, there is no consequence for any bad behavior. Now,
Hmm.
maybe we have raised the bar of what somebody must do for them to actually suffer the consequence. But if we check advanced nations that have progressed, not that they don't have their own problem, but the major difference is that people don't do wrong things with straight face. We
Hmm.
all work hard not to publicize our foolishness. Not in Nigeria. Nigeria, we are proud of our foolishness. The actions of people, they are just too proud of it. So that's one thing I observe. Then at individual level, it cannot be overemphasized that we need to change the way we think. We need to realize that nation building is not just a function of uh, government apparatus alone, that individual also has a role to play. In that family, you have a role to play. In that your place of work, you have a role to play. Now, what I see before change can actually happen significantly is when the larger population know that they have a role to play. that if I should do these things, we move forward. The larger population, 20% cannot do it. Just 10% cannot do it. Not to talk of in Nigeria, we probably have less than that. Those who wants to do the right thing at all times. Now, and it's also very difficult. We find ourselves in a unique environment where doing the right thing is very difficult, because you have seen people gotten away with all kind of atrocity. Nothing is stopping you from doing the same. All right. Let me give you a small scenario in my house. I live in my own house that I built myself, and I discovered that the NEPA bill kept on coming so huge, and I decided to get a prepaid. Now, getting a prepaid reduced the cost of doing that. But when I asked other people, neighbor and other, why didn't you get a prepaid? They said, the prepaid initial cost is even much. That would take me like almost a year. I will use that money to pay the NEPA bill. Now, that will show you our mindset, right? And many people say the prepaid is actually for free. Why are we buying it? If the credit, the recharge card, if the SIM card from telecommunication company can be for free, why can't it come for free from this also electricity distributing whatever? That is just an example of how we think as individuals. We are no longer thinking right, because we have found ourselves in an environment where everything is upside down, everything is done, almost everything is done wrongly, even despite being so religious. But yet, it's very, like, you cannot imagine somebody trying to do the right thing in such an environment. It's too toxic, too poisonous for anybody to begin to think things through. But if you can do it, things will be better. If all the government functionaries, those who are in the position of government, realize that they are there for service, not for personal gain. We have said this time and time. We've been saying this since 1967 during the what is it called? Just almost immediately after independence, 1963, that the only way to move this Nigeria forward is when people in power realize that the power is not for them, it's for the people. And once that is done, that means the leadership is better, it will trickle down to others. Imagine if it is so difficult for us to be corrupt because we have a government, setting that is completely immune to corruption. Like, they just detest corruption. What else do we have? We don't have option than to key into that kind of system, but we don't have that yet. And also the present Nigeria now is a mess because we are losing the best brain. We'll wake up one day and we will not, the only people we will find in Nigeria and those our government want to have. The hoodlums, the unintelligent one, the one that can buy vote for 5,000, the one that can be easily swayed. Once every good person, good intending Nigeria had already left the shore of the country. So we are losing brains very rapidly. And I don't think it's going to stop for a while. But for now, if there is any recommendation I can make, let the government realize this first. No matter what is going, I don't know what the plan of the present administration is. I'm not being specific. But with these two things that happen, fuel price, as well as devaluation of Naira, no. Those combination is I don't know what can hand it. It's just, of course, the evidence is everywhere. People cannot afford what to eat, ordinary what to eat. So what to do?
Okay. Anyway,
those who just be kidnapping will increase, all kinds of things will increase. So
okay,
I don't know the recipe to turn Nigeria around. In my opinion, it's like we are almost too late to take the right decision. We could have taken the decision in 1967. We could have taken it in 1972 during the oil boom, and on like that. We have key points when we could have taken the decision.
Wow. Anyway,
but we failed. Our dependence on petroleum is too much. In 1970s, that I said, agriculture was almost the key thing, our major source of revenue back then. But now is nowhere to be found. And then yet the petroleum is losing its price at international market because people are going into clean energy. So with all this, too many things for us to do in order to get it right. We have complicated, complex problem. The problem is so complicated that Anybody in the position of power now, you cannot really blame him or her. He will take very drastic decision that will spell doom on the larger population, like the one we have now. Devaluation of the currency. Dollar is how much? Who knows? So, let's start small. Maybe if we start small and begin to look inward, maybe things will work well. Starting small simply means like, okay, we start